Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I'm Amabel.
and welcome back to Amabel Goes to Forex School, Age of Wonders 4 edition. Look, you can see our little tile improvements. They do not have quite the level of grandeur or complexity that some of the games put into them, but they're here. They're still here. They're still animated. It's still stuff. So I said last time that while I don't consider Total War Warhammer to be a real 4X, and I don't think anyone would argue with me about that, I do consider this game to be a real 4X, despite the fact that there's a lot of things they're sort of focusing on to similar degrees, right? The building stuff in this game it's more complicated than Total War, but it's not more complicated to the same degree as like a civilization or an endless legend, right?
Yeah.
So the major factors for me that something has to have to be a 4X. So, like, first of all, obviously you need to have your 4Xs represented. Your explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. This has systems for all of those things, right? You have the ability to get placed on a big randomized map. Learn the map through exploration. Do all the things that you do in a 4X, and also you have to have multiple victory conditions so that you have some of that interior play versus exterior play tension, right? It can't just be a game of all of this stuff exists, but in the end, whoever army most wins. This is where this game kind of maybe gets hung up a little bit. Let me pop open the encyclopedia here, and we can talk about victories. Because there are multiple victory conditions in theory in this game. If you open it up and you start just like a new custom world, your game will have by default these base 5 victory conditions. The score victory, which of course exists in every one of these games in case nothing else has happened by turn 400 or 500 or whatever. We just measure everybody's pile of stuff, and whoever has the tallest pile wins. There is, of course, the military victory, where you defeat all of the other empires, defeat all the ones you're not allied with, at the very least. To defeat an empire, its ruler needs to be forced into the astral void, and its throne city must be captured. If the ruler is forced into the astral void, they will respawn at their throne city. So it needs to, to force a ruler into the astral void, you have to defeat them in combat. If you kill a ruler figure in combat, under normal circumstances,
Okay.
it's a lot like Total War Warhammer, where they're just off the map for a couple of turns, and then they reappear.
That's less cool than like taking them and putting them in a hole.
Yeah, I suppose so. And to be clear, for non-ruler figures, this game absolutely does have like capturing enemy characters and throwing them in jail and stuff. So you'll get to see some of that. The game has an expansion victory, which is fairly common with 4Xs if you hold enough of the world map, It works a little bit differently here in that you have to control enough provinces to unlock the ability to build these special beacons. Once 3 beacons have been built, then you have an option to light them. And when you light them, it starts a countdown timer. It calls to everybody in the game that says, hey, this person wins the game in 15 turns, unless you do something about it. And then there's the magic victory and the seals victory. The seals victory is a one you win by holding on to seals throughout the world, and it feels a little bit like the expansion victory. In my estimation, it's about holding enough territory. For each seal you've captured, you gain 1 point. During this time, seal defenders will spawn every few turns to try to take your stuff from you. If you control more seals, you get seal defenders more often. And once you've held enough seals, you build up enough points and you win. The realm you're in obviously has to have magic seals enabled in order for this to be possible. The other victory, which is sort of like the stand-in for the research victory in a lot of games, and this is maybe like the internal victory type for me. Like generally, when you're thinking about that tension between internal development and external development, really what you're thinking is how feasible is it to win a science victory where I don't kill everybody versus a military victory where I kill the people doing all the science, right? So this game's version of that is to achieve a magic victory, you need to cast and sustain a number of bind gold ancient wonder spells, which is a spell you unlock when you get a tier 3 tome. When you get a tier 5 tome, you unlock the magic victory spell of the same affinity as that tome. And it takes 15 turns to channel that thing while holding on to the ancient wonders that you have bound. So you need to, I believe it's based on map size, how many of them. But in a sense, this is another kind of expansion victory. You need to hold a certain amount of territory. You need to bind these things. And so, like, I think this game is a 4X, but I want to say kind of in the most technical way possible, because it really only has, like, all of the victory conditions in this are military at least.
Right.
The military victory is a military victory,
Yeah.
and the seals victory and expansion victory and magic victory are military plus other thing victories. But you don't need as much military necessarily to hold 3 golden ancient wonders as you might to eliminate every other player on the planet. Potentially. Kind of depends. But again, like, so it's technically filling the boxes, it's technically checking the things, but it is still a very intensely military focused game.
And then you have the story victory on top of it.
Right, so sorry. That's the case if you just play a custom map. If you choose one of these story realms, the way you win the map is defined by the story. And so you will get an objective that makes sense, but you'll be shocked to hear the objective is basically always win a military victory on the map you're on.
Yeah.
Right? So kind of not exactly mind-blowing. There's a food stash over here, just like food sitting on the ground. Did we not notice this before, or is this... Yeah, it doesn't look like it's guarded. I just ran past it earlier. Well, 67 food for the city. Hooray. You were about to ask a question.
Right. So the story realms, are those of necessity single player experiences?
I think so. I mean, yeah. Even if they're not, what would the difference be if there were 2 of us doing the same thing versus 1?
Right.
No, not right. That's a question. I want an answer.
I don't have it.
I'm asking why. I'm asking why you're asking this question. to what end? Where's this going?
I guess just to have more. You want me to talk, and then when I talk, you're like, "Why are you talking?"
No, that's not what I said. I want you to keep talking. I want you to explain to me where you're going. What's your line of logic here?
The structure of a 4X that I've been introduced to of necessity is a very board game like thing where you have, whether they're all human players or not, you have player factions in contention going for one of several victory conditions.
Right.
And it's a very ludic kind of thing. It has some narrative arc to it, but it's not the same thing as a story mode. And I think of story modes as being intrinsically not a thing for competitive spaces.
Okay. I mean, see, that's interesting because, like,
I find that interesting.
If you think about the construction of, say, Endless Legend with its victory quest, its story quest. By the way,
everyone has their own little story.
You're still sort of coughing into the microphone there.
Sorry.
It's all right. Everyone has their own sort of, like, everybody's always playing story mode. and completing the story mode has significant benefits as well as opening up a victory condition.
Yeah.
So I don't think that I don't think it needs to be as separate as you say, I guess.
Sure. It's just there are different when you are building a thing for a single player experience, you have different concerns than if you're building it for a multiplayer thing, I guess. And I don't know. I find it interesting.
So this is another pretty simple combat. I'm going to go ahead and hit auto resolve here. Notice there's a checkbox for allowing the AI to use your mana resource. I'm going to turn that off. We should not need mana. Notice it takes a second because it is actually simulating the combat instead of just doing math. And it's
Do you want
like
to watch the replay?
and it's like, "Hey, we killed your dog. Hey, I got your dog killed in combat." And if you don't like that, you could be like, "Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let me handle this. You're incompetent. Get out of the chair." And you can go and do it yourself instead. And I really appreciate that. It takes some of the pain out of weird auto resolve results, or the very annoying auto resolve results that you sometimes see with like a Total War type thing. So to quickly familiarize with our enemies here, we got some warriors with like a basic strike. They have a shield bash, which has a 90% chance of stunning a unit and then immediately puts them into defense mode. And then the other thing they got here is units with a charge that have the same, the basic charge functionality. Cancel defense mode or retaliation, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What they do not have is range of any type. We are going to again kind of inch forward here. Inch is strong, but I'm gonna keep my ranged units out of their close range at the very least. There's a button. I can't remember what it is. I'm pretty sure there's a button that shows you an overlay of all of the enemies' movement. I seem to remember that being a functionality that existed. It's very useful for this particular thing for judging where it's safe to have your ranged units stand. But it looks to me like this is safe enough. Now notice your units can't move through each other. So you get to determine the order of these, the order of your orders going out. But like, it's actually really bad for me to have done that if I intended to move a unit to here. Because we can't run through the safe way now. It's not a big deal. And in this case, I didn't want to have a unit standing here anyway, because that unit would be vulnerable to charge. But it's a thing to be thinking about. The other thing to be thinking about, of course, is that many units do not merely shield, but have a sort of like an area defense mode. So all adjacent units gain 3 resistance and 3 status resistance. And so it matters where you're standing even in defense mode. My shield wall gives bonus defense to all adjacent friendly units. That sort of thing. We also have a turn button, a rotate button here, for setting facing manually when you're done moving. Which is a thing you don't need in most of these kinds of games, but obviously here it has import. Notice we are not allowed to cast spells on the first turn. Okay, so interesting. They separated their warriors and their charge guys into 2 different piles. I don't think that's a good way to do that, personally. But I have left my Earthbreakers all the way on one side of the formation, which is stupid. I should absolutely have had the Earthbreakers in the middle. What am I thinking, Amabel?
You're distracted by my beauty.
Okay, that's literally true. You are on my
monitor.
you're on my other monitor, and it is difficult to work under these conditions. All right, we're gonna bring our hero forward. We're gonna bring our hero forward here and attack the one who doesn't have retaliation mode up. Just project our zones of control. But yeah, obviously we want to do a lot of focusing on these guys. So we don't have a canceller here. So I'm going to move the Scrap Hermit up into this spot, I think. Does it make sense to gain... You know what? I'm going to throw the link effect up on this unit. This way they'll gain a little bit of toughness back and stuff at the beginning of their turn. There's the retaliate. Do a little bit of bonus damage with their Archon thing, and then also we get to chomp these guys. So notice 1 retaliate. You don't get to go as many times as you would like. So we do have a 65% against these guys. We could move around. We can get a pretty good shot on them if we're willing to walk through the stink flowers. And distracting doesn't have any effect on our attack. So we can just walk into the stink flowers, I suppose, and allow that to happen. So 3 65% shots or 2 90% shots.
I mean, I say go for 2 90%.
Think so?
Yeah. I'm also bad at math, though, so I mean, maybe don't take my...
Good to say now. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And that's everybody. That's everybody having acted. So let's see how they respond to that. We've projected some zones of control. Okay. They went for the move and just ate the opportunity attack. This is a big hit. I guess I should have turned these guys. There's no reason for them to be facing forward. Amabel, I got our archers killed.
But the puppy's fine.
Well, hold on. The puppy's fine right now. Amabel, I'm doing worse. I'm doing worse than the job that the AI did. This is very sad indeed. So we can't use our Raise Undead wand because enemy zone of control. These guys have left themselves in triple strike position for 2 different units, so they go down very easily at least. They're facing away from those ones and everything. Oh, critical hit. So you notice the critical hit did some bonus damage. It also made a little face appear. There is a morale system in this game. When units hit low morale, their fumble chance goes up. When units hit high morale, their critical hit chance goes up. And every time you score a critical hit, you get a little morale pump.
Okay.
So, how do I want to handle this? We have this guy here and this guy here. I think I'm just going to endure. Yeah, because moving... It looks like I'm not going to take a retaliation hit when I move. Is that right? Do you not... I mean, you're in retaliation mode. It's not being reflected, obviously, but I do want to... Okay, it's fine. I do want to remove retaliation mode from these guys so that our cultivators can move. And the cultivator's plan is going to be to kill that dude.
Yeah.
I can't run to my allies very effectively, unfortunately. And I don't want to run into his area. I guess we'll just back up and then finish you off. Unfortunately, we can't kill this guy. Nor can we kill this guy. I guess the thing to do is to ride on, is to do damage to this guy as best we can. I'm going to run around to here, which only costs 1 AP. Hit him from this edge just to try to put as much as much zone of control as we can around him. Notice these these tiles get the tombstones. Here lies the Shademaker. Here lies the Dark Warrior. Good for
cute.
keeping track in case you need to remember where to raise someone from the dead from. All right, we got him feeling pretty pinned here. You should be able to kill this guy pretty trivially. Notice retaliation only in the front ranks. You don't retaliate against flank attacks by default. Obviously, there are unit abilities and whatever to create exceptions to every one of the rules. Alright, and that'll make this very easy. So I lost my archer instead of my dog, and the dog was probably a less important unit. I don't know. I'm doing a bad job in the combat system.
Good.
Is it?
Yeah, because then it.
I'm allowed to retry, but this is my fault. I'm taking the L.
It shows people watching that even a professional games player like you sometimes makes mistakes, and then you rebound from them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't be too broken up about losing a random unit. Okay, my ruler has gained a level, Amabel. So here's the thing: I'm a wizard king, and so I have some stat tree over here. I'm also a spellblade, and so I have some stat tree over here that's related to that. So we could become attuned. Whenever you cast a spell, this unit gains plus 10% physical damage and bonus. So regeneration, interestingly, gives THP at the end of the unit's turn. It doesn't actually heal you.
Okay.
And it counters poisoned and decaying. So if you put regeneration on something that has one of those effects, it removes the negative effect and is not applied itself. Casting regeneration onto a poisoned unit ends you up with a unit that has neither effect.
Okay.
The one they just negate and annihilate. We could turn our channeling ritual into defensive ritual, which causes us to enter defense mode when we do it, and heals us for 10 THP. Or quickened ritual, which doesn't cost action points. And this attuned thing can grow into, various different versions of its deal. We could also gain some arcane skirmisher over here. Melee attacks grant prepared spell for 2 turns, causing magic to deal more damage. And magic does the same thing for melee attacks. So you get that very satisfying gish back and forth. Sometimes I'm magic, sometimes I'm a big sword. Or you can lean into your spell casting a little bit more and just like have a big fire spell, have a big lightning spell. The fire spell is sort of a fireball, deals damage in a 1 hex radius, so just like a little area thing. Whereas this is chain lightning.
Okay.
I've always been a big fan of chain lightning, personally.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go ahead and grab that. Okay. And if we win a combat in enemy territory or pillage a province, we'll get some bonus renown and push our renown level up. I can adjust my appearance. Oh, it gives you access to the whole thing. We don't need to do that. The whole unit builder object apparently is just exposed there. So we have some units building. I actually probably do want to replace that archer unit, and we can't actually build tier 2 archers right now. So I cannot directly replace the lost ranged unit. That's a weighty loss. We're going to be feeling that. What does it cost to cast? Okay, Called Wild Animal was 60 mana up front, and then another 40 for producing a tier 2 animal. It's not cheap. We got
No, it'll
ourselves
take a while to build up that
another.
much mana.
Yeah, I agree. Looking at you nervously.
Why nervous?
I don't know, because you just agreed with me, and that really does not. It's not how the way things usually go down around here. So I'm wondering if it's a setup for a setup for a burn of some kind, or.
When have I ever done a burn on you?
Uh-huh. All right, we're gonna build a quarry with this new person. Uh-huh.
I haven't mentioned Spirit Halloween for like a year and a half, so I feel like
I don't think
I have
that's
not
true,
been
because I
burning
feel
you.
like I would have forgotten about it. But when you say that, I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh. Amabel. It's an
Yeah.
entrance to the underground. An underground passage. So there is a sub-map underneath the game world. There's another map of caverns and shit. There's a world going on underground, as it has been often said. We go look around underground, I guess. I don't know if that's the thing I necessarily think our army's going to get a lot of value out of.
Yeah.
Just keep kind of peeling back the fog in a slowly expanding spiral around Perbolion. All right. I definitely don't trust us to be able to clear a great bird nest. I do want to keep removing like the little groups of hostiles around town. Let's head down this way. I know there were some more over here. But this will just be good XP for us.
Okay. I have another question for you when
Okay.
you feel there's a good time for a question.
Go ahead. Go. What's up?
What is evil?
Okay. No, that's fair. So notice we have acquired some more over time, our affinity building. We have acquired some more affinity here. So we have gained access to the ability for basic seafaring here in the general tab, where it just totals up all of the affinity you're earning. And this is stuff like the ability to excavate terrain in the underground, +1 city cap. You know, it does mean like very generalized stuff. And then the 6 other, not trees exactly, but the 6 other long lines representing the skills you can pick up. Gain 150 knowledge per hero defeated in combat. I don't think we're going to spend Imperium on this because I don't see us fighting heroes anytime soon.
Okay.
You know, we're fighting a lot of like little baby units here. So, as to the question, what is evil? The concept of alignment in Age of Wonders 4 is here described. So, good alignment people get an automatic kind of like reputation hit with negative alignment people and vice versa. In addition, a good alignment or better will increase the chance of positive random events occurring, while evil alignment will make negative random events more likely. And it's not super clear to me how positive and how negative we're talking here. This does seem like just a mechanical punishment for playing evil, which seems a little unnecessary on top of the mechanical punishment you receive, which is that most people are not evil, and so you start at odds with factions generally. I don't know. This whole thing seems kind of badly thought out to me. It seems like a real arbitrary holdover from earlier things.
Yeah.
It also doesn't
yeah.
come up all that much, so
It just seemed to stick out a bit.
Yeah.
By the way, you're evil.
by the way, that decision you just made could be regarded as evil.
You know, and that one bird people city that was like, we've heard about you and how evil you are, so we don't quite trust you. And it's like, motherfucker, I just got here.
I'm just frogs. That's my whole deal is that I'm just frogs.
But you know about frogs. Frogs are just evil.
Frogs are just evil. All right, so we have the ability to cast stuff. Did we just learn conjure elemental? Yeah, we need to get another research going. So we can pick up lightning focus here. Makes attacks of enchanted units deal +2 lightning damage and gain a 30% base chance of inflicting electrified, which is basically an electric version of poison damage. Seems pretty straightforward. This enchantment can be placed on battle mage and support units, which we don't have a tremendous number of. There's, of course, animal kinship. We also could learn the Wayfinder enchantment, which allows us to enchant scouts with Go Real Fast. I kind of think, since we are using the Call Animal spell, and we are going to have animal units in our armies, a little animal kinship is maybe a reasonable thing to aim for.
Now, you as someone who plays a lot of 4X games, what do you think of this kind of research system where it's not really a tree, there are tiers, and you're given only so many, you might be able to shuffle them in and out?
I don't know.
How's that for you?
I don't know. I think it's fine. It's as good a solution as I think any that I have seen to the problem. I definitely like this better than the research trees with hard prerequisites, which I think have a tendency to lead to some sameness. Right? Like if the prerequisites work out the same way every game, then you're going to find sort of like optimal, more optimal and less optimal research paths, and you're going to end up following them a lot, right? Unless there's some kind of factor in a game that dictates that one of them becomes more or less useful than it normally is. So we finished building our Magitextural Archive. We also are close enough to attempt to drive these people off of this loot. So let's do it. It is a battle against a couple of floral stingers. Now, this looks like it's a little bit more in their favor than the last one was. So I'm assuming the auto combat is going to kill the dog. It sure is. Can we do better? We're going to try. It'd be sick if we did not lose any more units.
Or would it be sick if every time to try to save the dog you replay it, every time you lose a different type of unit? Would that also be sick?
No, I mean, a different kind of sick, maybe. So you can see here, this icon above their head indicates that they are a skirmisher type unit, which is to say they have this poisonous spores attack, but also a melee attack. So enemy is dealt damage, base 90% chance of inflicting poisoned, which is just blight damage over time. Poison counters regeneration and cannot affect ethereal or undead units, which is to the benefit of the electrical version of the thing, right? This has a 4 tile range, and it always hits. So you out here, you're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, we can't move forward very much while remaining in safe range here. Remaining in a place where the AI is not going to just rip us apart. So I'm not going to move forward very much. I think we're going to do this. Step just a little bit, give them a turn. So on this coming turn, we can throw some magic if we want to throw some magic. They have moved into the open. They didn't stop in any of the spaces that would give them cover or anything. And they have given us just enough movement to approach. So let's... I do want to Earthbreak, but should we start casting some spells? Mark as Prey is pretty cheap mana-wise. It distracts the opponent, causing all attacks to hit them as flanks, and sunders their defenses. We would want to do this on the one that we're not Earthbreaking, because flanked attacks, they won't retaliate. This guy's going to remove retaliation mode from that thing in the first place. Obviously, the other thing we could do with our spell points here is we could conjure an elemental and just try to beat them through sheer weight of numbers. Sadly, Scrap Hermit cannot quite get in range. You could run up and hit that guy. Your Lightning Evocation. Well, at least it only costs 1 action point. So I could Lightning Evocation off of a short run forward. Be a little careful with our Inferno Puppy. So where am I allowed to... If I wanted to summon this... Okay, I can summon it basically anywhere. It's going to give us a Lesser Tide Spirit. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Lesser Tide Spirit, eat the retaliation attack here. It gets to punch for 3 because we summoned it in a place where it didn't need to move before fighting, which is very fair. It has applied the wet modifier to this opponent, which makes them more vulnerable to lightning and frost, less vulnerable to fire.
Okay.
And if you make a unit wet, it puts out burning. There's a little bit of an unfortunate interaction with our Inferno Puppy, but it still bites pretty hard. You guys... Do I want to attack? Do I want to apply my buff? I think I want to attack. Beat a 70% chance of lighting up this guy. We do less damage against him, but I think I really want to focus here. All right, you can't move up into attack position anyway. And then obviously your only move is this, really. Although I could move up and shoot some lightning. I guess I probably should. Let's do that. So with this selected... Nope, it won't show me my movement. Okay. Because I'm not sure where I want to stand. I don't have a great sense always of... what is obstructive and what isn't.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really matter because we're going to hit both of them. It's a chain lightning spell. It's kind of the point. Alright, socked them both with the electrified. You can shield wall some of our dudes, and let's see him get out of this one. Alright, they have both chosen to run. Not, I think, necessarily super shocking. I do think I'm going to have y'all cultivate nature affinity here. So we're going to remove a debuff, a negative status effect from the dogs. That poison. And then give them the ability, obviously, to earn some temporary hit points. Break your defense mode with the earth charge. These ones are constricted. They got immobilized by viney thorns. How annoying. Or thorny vines, whichever. So I think I'm just going to ride up on them with the hero. Because I wanna spend this retaliate on somebody who's pretty tough. So that we can attack more more freely with our dogs. Sadly, not quite the amount of bites that I would have liked. We'll shield wall you. If these things want to back up again, they're going to be suffering at least a little bit. Okay, they just went ahead and did their ranged attack adjacent to the dogs. They do not like the dogs. Nope, all of the... They went out of the way and effectively sacrificed one of their units to bring down the Inferno Hound. Amabel, they hate him so. What the hell?
It's rude.
It is rude. So I'm going to have our Earthbreaker spend his attack breaking this guy down. Because I think our hero can meaningfully double attack the other one. But the guy that was right here was so wounded that I don't think it's very valuable to get to hit him twice. The first shot was too likely to kill him. There we go. We're doing good damage. This Lesser Tide Spirit needs to close. You also just need to close. Alright, our Tide Spirit has disincorporated, but I think we're past that mattering at this point. Earthbreaker, run around to here and chomp. Just obliterating trees in the space next to you. Alright, having a little bit of trouble keeping my my softer units alive. I really didn't think that they would just choose to eat the opportunity attack, which I guess is on me. You gotta remember that in some of these settings, in some of these games, the hate for you is so great and so vast.
On the bright side,
yep.
you're not going to kill your puppy next time.
Well, I suppose. Okay, so we got our units running down here to join her. I really do think we need more mana. So the Architect Institute here, the next version of this production and knowledge structure, we've already got boosted just sort of by accident because we need to build a quarry and a forester. So this would only be 4 turns to build. And I know I was just saying we need a shrine, but like production buildings make your shrine so much easier to build. And then as far as military units go, I definitely just want to build more Earthbreakers. We're going to replace some lost stuff with Earthbreakers. So yeah, I have played characters where I went evil on purpose to see like how significantly different it felt, and the answer was not.
Okay.
It does sort of feel like a little bit like a Team A versus Team B allegiance switch. It's just like, do you want to be broadly automatically on the same team as the other quote unquote good guys? Or do you want to be sorted against them instead? Not terribly exciting.
Yeah, and there's something a little, maybe naive is the wrong word, but I'm not used to a fantasy setting in this year having evil as one of the... That feels very old-fashioned.
Yeah, as much sort of like complexity and as much text as the fiction here has, there's also a real sort of simplicity to it, you know?
Yeah.
So our diplomatic state with Pentacle is now Pact of Cooperation, thanks to the influence of our Whispering Stone. We are able to trade with them. We can walk around in their territory without them getting mad. Let's open up the cooperation menu. So we can trade 15 production for 9 mana every turn for 10 turns. We can pay them 10. Oh, wait, am I reading that wrong? We pay 9 mana, we get 15 production. Here we pay 10 gold per turn to get the effect of their haste berries, which makes founding cities faster. Or we can pay 30 gold per turn for 15 of their knowledge per turn. We are bringing in some fair gold. It might be worth it to make a little trade here.
Okay.
We've also earned a new hero. So this is a thing that happens every so often. I don't remember exactly how this number is arrived at. It's probably just like on a schedule every game, right? So we can support more heroes in our empire. What do we got here? We have a specialist governor and crusader. This hero vows to smite the wicked. Major ambition, slay an undead or fiend unit of tier 4+. This would give you 150 renown and the preacher trait. Now see, this stuff is cool. This ambition system was not, I'm pretty sure, in the game last time I was playing, but this is really neat for different heroes to have not just personal, like a personal mission, but a mission that's actually like transformative to them in some way.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. While governor, the governed city gains benefits based on the renown level of this hero. Bonuses based on special province improvements, which require you to have a special thing. Built from the production queue. Yeah, unlocked with tomes and cultures. So that's Thyron the Mender. Ophira the Rally Master is a Trollkin. Would grant city stability. Draft may recruit ogres in this city. That's interesting. She's like, I know some guys. They're my cousins. The ability to recruit more and more interesting trolls as we push your personal ambition up. Win a siege battle against the throne city or win a siege battle in general. If you win a siege battle against the throne city, you gain the ability to summon a Devastator Sphere. Well, now that's an interesting... a Devastator sphere has the ability to detonate and devastate, as you might imagine. Kind of neat. And Assis the Strong would be an arcane governor who gives bonuses, based on mana. I do like that idea. We do need some bonus mana. And you are a fearmonger. If you win a battle where 5 enemies were made to rout, you can become intimidating. Adjacent enemy units have a chance of losing 5 morale. This unit inflicts increased morale penalties when killing an enemy. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like both of these two.
I like Ophrah, but I have a question.
Yes.
Because sometimes in these games they let you change the names of units. Are you able to change the name of Ophrah?
Probably.
Can we name him J.R.R. Trollkin? Because if so, choose that guy.
Let's see. I think we have to do it that way. Hold on. Where is my heroes? Inspect. Adjust appearance, maybe? Name, yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, you make a strong point. Okay, so this hero aspires to become a conqueror of cities. Not that we necessarily need more combat units, but combat characters. But we can fold these two up. It'll be a fine army.
Also, I noticed we were able to choose pronouns. That's neat. That's a neat little like. I appreciate that in a game.
Yeah.
Good on you, Age of Wonder 4.
Okay, this is very hostile stuff out here. Herbalion can annex another province. If we're just for the moment, I'm kind of focused on grabbing the ones that have special stuff in them. This province having a river means we can get extra food, a little bit of extra food out of the farm. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to like boost to or anything, so I'm kind of just grabbing whatever gives the most total resource points, which means this mine on the gold vein is probably next. All right, so we can found an outpost using a character. Doing so obviously is going to require some Imperium, to make a city occur. We'll confront this next turn when we have movement points. Another thing that I don't love this game, every game does its like targeting slightly differently. And in this one, you have to left click on the spell or ability you're using and then right click on the target. Left clicking unselects the ability. But in most games, left clicking on something after pressing the button would be how you fire it. And so it always kind of throws me off. Is there a way to turn on... That's the event log. What I would like is to have the region borders be more visible. Maybe, because it's not obvious to me, like, prior to pressing this button, where the edges are.
Yeah.
We haven't really found anything interesting yet. So I'm kind of holding off until we do. At the very least, an improvement that will give some extra resources somewhere. But we don't want to get too far away from Herbalion. So there's a lot of enemies hanging around here. Here we have a plague serpent. And a slither hatchling, which seems like not all that dangerous. A hunter spider, which is a little bit more dangerous. So it's a couple of tier 2s and a tier 1. Every time I say things seem not that dangerous, we end up losing people.
Yeah, I've noticed.
So I'm a little leery of engaging. Thanks for the vote of confidence there. Hey, check it out. A stash of knowledge. Also, some great bird nests. Seem pretty good to me. All right, let's go ahead and attack these guys. Get some loot and stuff. Out of curiosity, does the auto combat kill anybody? Yes. They suggest that we would lose our Earthbreaker. That's somewhat believable. We're trading heavy in melee.
Can we watch the replay, see how that happened?
Well, it happened because he got meleeed a bunch. Amabel.
I want to see what this...
Look at the size of that serpent. All right, pretty decent chain lightning. Okay, cultivate nature affinity on the... Ooh, boy, that's a real forward position for those guys. So I would definitely have had them sitting back one more tile, but I don't know that that
Yeah.
would have actually resulted in any of that stuff not happening. You know?
Yeah.
Interesting. Instead of attacking, I don't know if I like that. I would not have done that. That would definitely have been a run forward and strike turn for me. Well, I gotta tell you, this is not going precisely the way that I would have it go.
Yeah. Do you want?
I would make some different choices here. I don't know. It's probably not worth the time. I don't think I can keep them from killing the unit. So. And I mean, from here, it's all pretty straightforward, right? You can just exit the replay. Yeah, like the guy who runs forward and gets into trouble is going to die. That makes sense. We have won this battle and cleared off another iron deposit, which is pretty cool. A good place to move to. We produced our Architect Institute and are working on our shrine, which I think is a good idea, and our ruler is leveling up. So, Sundering Evocation. Lightning Evocation is also now a debuff ability. It inflicts guaranteed sundered defense and sundered resistance, which is the same thing, but for resistance. Or modify and enhance this hero's evocation by causing it to deal 27 lightning damage instead of 15. I mean, it's quite a lot of extra damage. But my inclination is definitely to pick up the Arcane Skirmisher thing. Like, I actually really like this kind of ability. So we have one turn where we cast the evocation as we're running in, and then next turn we chunk pretty hard with the melee weapon. I like that kind of stuff. Now we probably don't want to attack. Yeah, we're getting a little. Our supply of body is getting a little thin here. I think I'm gonna fall back into friendly territory, where we will heal a little bit more effectively, and receive a military unit and stuff like that. Okay, let's just merge the two hero characters into the army together. And that is exactly all of your movement for the turn. Scout, I mean, I guess just keep looking around. There's another zone here controlled by a neutral. Is that chest actually unguarded? It is. A chest containing an item. Well, let's hope we survive to get it. All right. Makes the target race more bestial and connected to animals. When adjacent to a friendly animal, both units are granted bonus damage, bonus critical hit chance. Let's select a new research. So we'll get to pick a new tome after one more poll here. Fulmination. Enemy units in a 1 hex radius take 15 lightning damage and have a chance of becoming electrified. This allows us to improve the melee attacks of enchanted units with bonus lightning damage and further bonus damage against electrified units, which plays very well with, our leader's chain lightning as we're running in. I think that would be a cool spell to know. I want to know more like buff type spells rather than direct damage things, I think. So Prevalion's going to finish its Earthbreaker. I'm going to tell him to make another Earthbreaker. And the Shrine's just about done as well. So now that we've got a couple of buildings in place here, and also 3 population, we can upgrade the Town Hall. This will improve the range at which we can annex provinces. We can reach out one more ring of provinces around our current position. This unlocks special province improvements. And also just some gold. Also some gold is good. And then there's stuff you can't build until your town hall is tier 2, and you know how it is. This also unlocks a couple of new military units, including the range unit that we lost before. And it only takes 3 turns to get there. It's nice to have it boosted. Okay. So this this transformation spell that we just picked up. How do we... It's not a combat spell. It's a... That tab doesn't even exist. It's not a real tab. Okay, 150 mana. We are going to have to bank. Here we have some Marauder Guard. I'm not really interested, I think, in getting into a fight over... I can't even actually tell what that is. Something blue and yellow. So we have some swampy terrain out here. I'm getting pretty far from Perboleon. Maybe it would be a good idea to outpost. So, unclaimed wilderness. Just put down a province. Okay, 2 turns. Got our new Earthshaker here, or Earthbreaker, rather. Do we want to just hang out until the other Earthbreaker is done? How much does it cost to just rush this? 134. We do have a lot of gold.
Yeah.
The one thing we are not short is gold. Get me another Earthbreaker. Alright. We're going to head back over here and crush those neutrals that we saw. We do have access to a new Empire development skill. Yes, we can excavate in the underground if we want. We've also got Surge spellcasting. Casting a combat spell reduces the cost of other combat spell types by 25% for 2 turns. Interesting. I think probably not worth Imperium right now. Maybe. Probably not. We're not doing a lot of combat casting because we need to save for our longer term things. And our scout goes forth and grabs the chest. We found a Frost Great Axe. Okay, so a hero equipped with this has the Charger abilities. Okay. That's interesting. So that could be you. We could trade out your basic melee strike for that. That's just the screen for my character. So you are using an Architect Staff of Steel, which has a quick stab and also Steel Blast. It's not really a melee unit. Is there a way to quickly tab through? Oh yeah, okay, we have these. I see. So, I mean, our character has 80 max HP, 4 armor, 2 resistance. J.R.R. Trollkin is not actually that different, stats-wise. Okay, but this is limited to particular classes. You are a Warlock. Warlocks do not use Big Axe. And in fact, no, a Spellblade can. A Spellblade can. So, do we want to trade out... I kind of think I do. Okay. Well, maybe not. I was going to say, like, I think the ability to charge people and turn off their defenses is really valuable, but also we probably are going to have enough of that because that's the only good unit we can build. So like we just built 2 of those chargers into that army. All right. Let's check over this way. Let's see what's going on. We can see some rewards that I assume are going to be protected. We could cast a spell, but not any of the spells I like. We did produce things. It feels like, for the most part, you don't want to cast, right? You usually want to hold off and gather mana, certainly in the early game. So it's a little annoying that I always need to tell it, no thank you, I don't want to cast that. Do we have movement left? We do not. Okay, that seems pretty doable. Scout, are you finding anything lootable? Nope. Shockingly, all the loot has monsters on it. Who would have thought in a fantasy game? So we've gained access to the Soil Tender's ability. Farms grant +5 food. Honestly, yeah, maybe worth it. Road building gives your units the ability to build roads on the world map. Most terrain costs 6 to 8 move points, while roads cost only 5. Roads are built on hexes along which an army moves and cost 3 gold per hex. It's not bad. I do like bonus food. I think bonus food's really good. Yeah, it's going to be hard to turn down improved population growth, right?
Yeah.
All right, our outpost was founded. We can, in fact, turn it into a city of mucus founders, and we shall. Welcome to the outpost next turn. All right, this feels like it ought to be pretty straightforward. Yeah, hardly any damage at all. We've toughened up considerably. You can see here one of our units has a little medal. Look at that, Amabel. This means that they are a veteran,
Okay.
which is giving them stat bonuses, as you can see here. Plus 10 health. Then at elite, they get some toughness in addition. At champion, they gain exalted resistance. When this unit goes into defense mode, adjacent friendly units gain resistance as well. And eventually legend, where they get plus damage on top of everything else. And it's neat that the different units can have different level up trees like that.
Yeah.
This is a cache of something immediate. I'm going to press on here. I know we just fought this turn, but like, let's fuck these guys up too. Feels to me like a bunch of water elementals should be pretty... you know what, we'll take it. Okay, it was 36 knowledge. It's not like really all that much when you think about it for the loss of a unit, but we are already rebuilding them. We're continuing to gain access to stuff here. Chaos skill. Defeating an infestation grants you a unit based off the infestation. I should maybe have checked that at the beginning of the turn, because we could have taken a unit off of this thing and used it to help us fight. Ah, well. I do think we're fighting here. Well, this isn't an infestation, though, right? This is just a neutral army. The infestations are the things holding the red borders. So never mind. It wouldn't have affected anything anyway. All right. Nobody's dead. collect resources to send them home. And then continue. Ooh. There's a lot of kind of hostile, neutral stuff all over the place here. Also, a derelict workshop. Silver infestation spawner. An ancient workshop infested with rampant mechanical creations. See, that's the kind of place I would like to get control over. We need to maybe rally our troops together and take control of some of these special locations. When annexed, this adds Imperium, mana, +2 knowledge per research post in the city domain, and the Blessed Soul unit to your Rally of the Lieges. That's another thing. When you take over ancient wonders that have units associated with them, you get those units in the Rally of the Lieges, so you can assemble a pretty eclectic force based on the kinds of magic conflicts you've gotten yourself into, which I do think is really neat. You know?
Yeah. I agree.
I know you're still sick. So I'm not trying to prompt you. And rad. I know you're still totally sick and awesome. But I'm trying to prompt you a little bit.
Okay, I mean, it's neat stuff.
Okay. From above the realm's branching treetops, a mechanical shriek announces the attack of the Warden of Manuhari. Imbued with life by the ancient Krasura, the powerful progenitor golem is the god protector of Manuhari, assaulting trespassers or invaders of the realm without mercy. According to Krasuran myth, it once defeated the obsidian worldworm, and through this achieved immortality. The ancestral army of the progenitor golem has been sighted at the fertile plains west of the Pentacle. Okay, so we need to maybe send our units to a safe place. Like bring these guys home, merge the new units into them, like let's get ready for a fight type situation here. We have gained an awful lot of mana, which I forgot to keep an eye on. I'm going to go ahead and execute Call Wild Animal before the kinship thing. And we're just going to call a wild animal in here. Once again, right, you got to left click, right click. So we could bring in a vampire spider hatchling for free, a hunter spider at tier 2, which is a really expensive unit, an ape. We have lots of shock units. Scrap Hermit is a tough melee unit. What does this spider do that's so great? Has a 3-tile jump movement that can be used for a single action point. And then web and melee strike, which has a chance of inflicting immobilize. I don't know that I think that's much better. Like, a Scrap Hermit's pretty solid. And this army needs just kind of toughness. And that'll give us one full stack to resist the enemy with. I was hoping to get eyes on the Eye of Manuhari, but maybe we should take it easy for a second here. Let's fall back to a defensible position. Our scout can keep scouting, that's fine. So this one here is held by elementals. And somewhere over there. West of Pentacle, they said. So, yeah, somewhere. There's a very scary enemy coming to ruin our days. Oh, I didn't use quite all of your points. Okay, we finished a chapter and have unlocked our next Tome of Magic. This is what I was hoping to get to before the end of the episode. Okay. So because we have unlocked enough tomes, we now have access to a tier 2. Tier 2 tomes have tier 3 and 4 spells in them. As you know, tier 1 tomes had 1s and 2s. Okay. And the ones we can take are... I don't remember. There's some kind of limitation I don't remember how it works. At some point, you can only take tomes that have the same affinities as the ones that you already have. I don't remember when that happens. It looks like here we can grab just about anything. Or hold on, is the yeah, because like we can grab a tier 2 order tome when we don't our Materium when we don't have any Materium affinity yet. So we have to select a tome here that is going to give us access to more stuff and shape our people and abilities going forward. So this is where you start to see one of the major problems that I have with this game. And
Okay.
problem is strong, but one of the things that sort of drives me away from it pretty quickly is that because the tomes that exist are the same, like you start to learn which ones are kind of good and which ones are bad, and because you're getting so much of your capability, both unit wise and ability wise, from your tomes, your games can start to feel really samey. Right, it's like, well, I'm going to
Right.
take the same tier 3 tome as last time. I'm going to take the same tier 4 tome as last time, and that means I have these units that are the same. And you can make yourself make different choices, and you can, like with your faction decisions and whatnot, try to put yourself in a position where you incentivize yourself such that different choices are mechanically right. But there's only so many to make. You pick up quite a number of books each game, and it does just yeah, it
Yeah.
starts to feel pretty repetitive pretty quickly.
And that feels like a
It
misstep compared
can.
to the way the research generally works,
Well, I
where
mean,
you
it's
have.
kind of the same problem as as it sort of reproduces the tech tree problem in a different form, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to express there. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's um so why do that? Why make that? Because I think if you at this moment had a pick of like 3 or 4 of them, it would be out of this set you only had that few number to pick from. I think it would be a very different experience. You have to make very different decisions and adjust and try to navigate the space. And
I mean, there are certainly more tomes than there used to be, and that helps. You know, the percentage of the total tomes that you're taking is smaller now than it once was, and so that's going to help with it feeling less similar.
yeah,
Now I did see there's a tome of Fey Mists. We're kind of already on this like nature and astral kind of vibe, and maybe we like lean into the bonus between the two of them. So this is going to give us access to a special province improvement. The Feywater
okay,
Pond can be constructed. It counts as a conduit. It gives +3 mana per adjacent forester, and provinces in this city's domain become misty. Units here have -4 vision range and universal camouflage, cannot be seen on the world map. The units that end their turn on this hex gain clinging mist, which makes them harder to hit. So it's harder. It's going to be harder for other people to see our units moving around in our territory. With that, which seems kind of whatever, honestly. It gives us access to a little critter called the Mistling. Does damage to a target enemy with a chance of inflicting a random negative status effect at range 4. Staves of Mist grants enchanted units healing and clinging mist and random. There's a lot of random status effects going on here. Random positive status effects. Target province becomes misty. Doesn't seem very good. The Fey Touched race transformation gives Fey Guile. If this target is obscured or in a mist cloud, it gains a status effect.
yeah, but
And
you have to
gives them the
hold back
ability.
on the stick for it to work. So
Okay, all right. Traditionally, we hold down back because that way That way you can perform either a Fey Flash Kick or a Fey Sonic Boom. And this also gives you the ability to ignore the vision penalties from Misty. So the clicking mists are wholly beneficial to you. I mean, it's kind of interesting as a way of defending yourself. It seems like it's going to be a lot less relevant on the attack. But I'm going to take it anyway.
Yeah, see, my problem if I was faced with something like this is there's so much to choose from. I wouldn't even, like, it feels like not a choice because there's too much.
Fields and forests.
So I think I'm going to grab Summon Mistling, both because it's the fastest here and also because it gives us access to a unit that's a little bit better than a lot of the units we currently have. 90 health skirmisher. That lady was reading a passage from the book, but I moved forward. And so here we are now.
Okay.
Structurium was founded, and we do need to set up production here. So we have a couple of points of bonus population, right? We have one bonus. We have two different bonuses giving us +1 population on Settlement Foundation, which means that we can actually boost a building before we start constructing even our most basic thing. So why don't we grab a forester somewhere? This is a gold vein. We have a mana node here, so we can build a research post on top of it for 10 mana and 5 knowledge. We can also build a conduit for 17 mana per turn, in addition to being able to build sort of the bonus or the basic boring stuff. We really could use more mana per turn, but you know how I feel about knowledge. And then the city still has a buildable place. We have a lot of gold around here, which is kind of neat. Don't have so much things that would affect our foresters. So yeah, it's not going to matter too much where you put this. I'm going to build it here because it'll give us vision around our border. And having constructed a forester, we now are boosted for the storehouse. Because it turns out growth is pretty good. Alright, get our second city up and going. It is true, Perbolion produced the Great Ziggurat and an Earthbreaker. And it can grab another province already. We have another iron deposit out over here. That feels like a reasonable thing to grab. And Structurium currently does not have a governor. So each conduit grants +5 mana. Each forester grants city stability. You do make a decent governor. So one thing that's pretty different about this game than a lot of other games that have this, like, you have characters and you have sort of generals or hero characters in your armies that can be those characters. You also have governors, is a person can be both. A hero character is always a combat unit and may also be governing a city.
Okay.
In this game, so J.R.L. Tolkien is an absentee governor in Structurium. And now that we've finished building that, we must build something new. So you can see here, we do have access to some improved defensive structures. Now that we've leveled up a little bit. Caltrop stashes and stuff. I think you're going to find city sieges to be pretty interesting.
Okay.
We could build the foundation of a wizard tower. To give us some Imperium income, which is pretty rad. Hard to come by. We could build, obviously, all the things we could build before. We can build a new and improved town hall to unlock even better military units and even better defensive structures and whatnot. It gets boosted at 10 population, though. Might be worth holding off. Or we could build some of these special province improvements. A wildlife sanctuary gives bonus draft per adjacent province with forests and unlocks the production of various animal units. And since we're trying to lean into this whole animal kin thing anyway, I'm kind of inclined to do this. Select a province to replace. It counts as a forester, so we could just drop it here. It's going to measure, remember, it's measuring the number of adjacent forests for its draft bonus. So this is not like a huge number. It might be best to build it actually up into here. So maybe what we want to do is wait until we acquire one more province, or even like out this way. Acquire one more province and then put in a wildlife sanctuary. And so for something to build in the interim, some extra draft is probably a good idea. We're building more military units now. And we're getting access to military units that have higher costs that we really like. Okay, and with that, I think we can go ahead and leave it there. You've gotten to see now a little bit. I feel like you've gotten a decent chunk of like how the empire management stuff is going to work.
I have a sense of the big picture, and a lot of these like a benefit of something like 4X School is that I'm seeing the same concepts kind of iterated on, responded to, changed from one game to the next, and
yeah,
so I might have less to say as we go on about each new thing because I've seen this, but it's interesting the particular alchemy, particular way that things are put together, and thank you for showing this to me.
You're welcome. So 2 things I do want to comment on before we leave here. You can see we did spend a chunk of world map casting points. So, of course, keep in mind we can only use so many world map spells per turn. And also, we haven't really talked about city stability. This is their version of like a civilization happiness mechanic or an endless legend approval mechanic, and as you say, like an idea that you see in lots of places implemented perhaps in slightly different ways. We'll talk about how to manage this and stuff next time, because we're going to have to. As we continue to expand out and grab more provinces, the stability gets worse and worse, and we have to start actively managing it, which we will. But that is a concern for another time. That's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, it sounds like we might have a little bit of a mid-boss fight brewing. We're going to do our best to get a hold of some of these special provinces with their not special improvements, because that's a different thing. What's it called? With their ancient wonders and their unique units therefrom. And generally just keep exploring the space. So come back next time for that, and we'll see you then.
JRR Trollkin.